So I'm Denise Rush, again, Fairfield Cultural Alliance. And here's somebody else who's asking about it. Yeah, here, why don't you take that call? Talk to Shanaz, go up there.
It's Jeff.
Jeff Fitzrandolph and myself and Marla and Kay and not officially, are all members of the board of Fairfield Cultural Alliance. And so since 2005, what we have been doing here in Fairfield is supporting the arts and culture and history of Fairfield through different ways. One, we started out doing all sorts of, there's some, these, you can pass those ones out, those are just samples that we'll bring back. But this heritage book is something that we have published quite a few times. In fact, the new one I'm working on right now, because we haven't published one because of COVID, so it's been like 3 years since we've done a new one. So we're working on that. Jeff was really instrumental in gathering, and Mark Schaefer, rest in peace, were fundamental in creating that heritage, getting the information together, and Jeff created a website. And then, so it's been an ongoing project as things change and grow in Fairfield, and also it's been a lot, it was a vehicle for downtown businesses to promote themselves to, because we sell ads to it, things like that. In fact, I have a question for you. But so now the other things is there's been a few events we've held. We held in 2018, 18 and 19, or 17 and 18. I can't remember. We did the International Festival.
Yes, you did. You did.
And Kay was big. Everybody worked on that so much.
Yes.
It was huge.
It was.
So we decided that's something that we couldn't undertake every year or anything like that. So, but there are things that we have done all the time, and one of the things is giving out cultural grants, mini grants to artists, and people have projects that they need a little bit of money, and we spread it around as best we can. And that comes out of an important thing called the Cultural Trust Fund. That it was seed money given to us by the City of Fairfield, so that we'd never spend the principal, but every year what we spend how the money grows. So sometimes we haven't had much to give, and sometimes we've had more, depending on the stock market. It's managed by the Jefferson County Foundation. So we owe a debt of gratitude to the city. The city counts on us for doing things. And every year we'd have a cultural party, really, at Icon Gallery. And we give out cultural achievement awards to people who, we want to honor for their works during that particular year. And then we give out our grants, and we have a little entertainment, and it's also a time for networking, so that people who are involved in the arts in town can talk to each other and see how they can collaborate, or or plan things around each other. COVID messed us up pretty bad, and like everybody, but now we really need to get back going again. Now, however, we have a core group of about 8 people. Some of them have recently moved away, and me as head, our business expanded a great deal, and we bought a building downtown. So now I have a full-time job, and whereas I was just kind of freelance graphic designer, now I have a full-time job. And it's more than full-time, really, a lot of times. So I don't have the bandwidth to do the organizing I used to. It's sad because I love Cultural Alliance and I love what we've done. So what we've got to do, the other really important thing that we were done, we started when we first applied to become a cultural and entertainment district through the state of Iowa. And that's kind of what got everybody together about it, and then formed the original board, and then we worked out of that. It distilled down to some volunteers, about 8 or 10 volunteers who really came to every meeting, and now it's down to about 4, and me is a question. The work can't get done. Not only that, every 2 years, we have to report back to the state of Iowa all the stuff. You know that kind of stuff. And hi, come on in. Are you coming in? Great. Here, here's a chair for you. So we have to report back to the state of Iowa in order to keep our cultural and entertainment district so that we can be eligible for grants, for funding. We can apply for other grants. For the Department of Humanities funded our international festivals.
A sizable amount.
Yes, it was. But it needs people to do it. It needs people to do it because all of it is about community action and working with other organizations, working with all the people. So there we are. We don't want to leave our town, our arts and culture, down, because it's one of the things that makes us who we are, really. I think at Fairfield, our artists, our musicians, our food entrepreneurs, all, it's who we are, and it gives us a personality and color that we all dearly love. So we don't want to let down the community, and we don't want to let down the city who invested in this project. So we need a way to revitalize it. We need more people, or we need to divide up the important things that we do amongst other organizations. However that needs to be done has got to get done. So, and be honest, we'd really, really like younger people than us, and other arts organizations in our town also have similar situations. And at that point, I'm going to let you talk.
I'll just say a word or two because
Yes, it's
I
okay.
haven't got a solution except
Right.
to
Underscore
talk.
it.
Yes, and to say
Anybody who
that
doesn't know
we're in
them,
the
this
same-
is Bill Teeple from Icon Gallery.
I mainly just wanted to come because I actually have a 7:30 video night I have to run tonight. Just wanted to come and connect, and what I'm excited about is all the people I'm seeing here. So that makes me feel
too.
really good
Me
about the
too.
future of this whole thing. I wanted to extol the importance of this organization because it's the organization that connects everybody together and binds all of the arts activities and organizations in the town together and gets them working together, and that's the cool thing about it. It seems to me that we started all of this sitting around your table in your
Bert
kitchen
Janowski
table,
over here.
and it grew into what it's become today, and it's really a cool thing. I mainly wanted to bring out that I'm what she's talking about is the issue that we're dealing with at my organization, is that I'm not going to be able to do it forever, and I've sort of been Icon all these years with a lot of volunteer help, but all my volunteers are in their 70s pretty much, and or a little bit younger. So I'm creating a plan that I would like to, rather than just hand the whole thing off to somebody and let them do what they want to do with it, I have a plan to have Icon go forward more as a small I still want it to be the anchor of the art scene, of the visual art scene here and the art walk. But I have a plan for it to go forward more as a small museum, because we're making a big deal of, and we're trying to get more and more works into our permanent collection. And we have people that have already written their collection into the icon, into their wills, so that their collections will go to icon. Saul Waxman donated 3/4 of his major collection to icon already. The paperwork's already been done. We own it. Wow. And so we have quite a range of things, because I'm interested in a range of things. Everything from very high-end art, Salvador Dali and Sam Francis, and some major players that have been here in Fairfield. But also I love everything. I like children's art and I like outsider art. And so I think that the collection that we show onward at Icon could be a very interesting entertainment for more than just the locals here once a month for Art Walk. I think that we have the potential of partnering with the CVB and with other organizations where we could have people come on weekends to have experience the icon. I think it's more of an art destination for art lovers from even outside of Fairfield. So the idea is that we would rotate someone, if I get a plan, and we can get, even a board could run this with even a part-time director, where we just rotate the permanent collection through the gallery, through this little tiny museum we're creating, along with borrowing signature works from all over the region that we would borrow from collectors or from artists or even galleries for 6 months or something. And we gradually rotate things through the gallery to keep it interesting and changing, and yet we are showing off a collection, the icon collection, for the region. I think it's something that could be fun to work out. But I can't do it all. I have to get a plan going. I have to have people implement it. I have some people involved that are younger than I am, but not youthful. And I think that in time we can excite people that are younger to get involved with this too. And I think that's what this is. I think we're both on the same plan here. We're not. It would be nice to live forever and just do what I do forever, but the whole nature of how things change in this divine plan seems to be that we have to get recycled now every now and then. So what I think is cool is that there's so many people here, and there's even a young person or two, and even middle-aged. I'm feeling like an elder now. But
I'm looking at anybody under 50. I'm going, yeah.
Inside, I feel about 25, but So I just mainly wanted to bring out the issue that we're all facing. I can't really get involved any further than I am, except for to always support this group. And I just wanted to say how important this organization is. It's the one organization that's built into the city's strategic plan to coordinate all of the art activities. I think that focusing more on youth altogether and bringing more young people in, and if young people are more interested in virtual galleries, then we have to make them realize how beautiful it is to experience an original work of art painted with a brush on a canvas and standing before you in a gallery. That even if it's an anachronism today, we want to celebrate the anachronism of the brick and mortar art gallery and how it's important. Here. So that's, I've always been into that. But I think that when the Art Walk got started in 2001 or 2, what I really enjoyed about it is it was a full range of sensibilities And there were galleries and studios that represented all the different layers and sensibilities of art in the town. And there were all ages involved. There were about 3 youth galleries. When we first started the Art Walk, there were 3 youth galleries that young people had gotten together with their friends, rented a spot or got somebody to give them a spot for a little amount of money because it was an empty building or something. And I loved the youth galleries. That was one of my favorite things. So we could encourage young people. I don't know if there's a way with the financial support that you can get with the humanities or the state, the Iowa Art Council or something to encourage creating spaces for young people to share, even if they've got video screens all over the whole thing. There was such freshness and liveliness about the young people's galleries in the early days, and I think that's something to focus on again. And bringing, what I'm encouraged by is there's so many people here that thinking about it, want to get involved, and I think we can even try to get even more young people involved. And that's about all I have to say. I got to go off and do my event now.
Thanks, Bill.
I'm gonna give a hand. Completely honor and love you.
Thank you.
And you have said something important for us, and that is that you have a plan. You at least have a plan. Now, see, that's a place where we can start.
So but my
Make a
job is
plan.
to inspire people to get involved. I have people, like I say, 50s and up, that could keep the whole thing going for a while. But that I've inspired, and of course, just when I get a manager of the project involved, and they have stuff where they have to back off for a while. So there's going forward and going back. But I've got this intention that I really want to see happen, and I think it can.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. We'll be in touch. How about we go around the room and say who we are, okay? Francesca.
I guess we'll start with me. I'm Francesca Greco. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I've lived in Fairfield almost my whole life, with the exception of 5 years. I love it very much. I worked at the convention center for 5 years, so if you recognize my face, maybe you saw me in the ticket office. Yeah, I'm getting married next year. That's about it.
Congratulations. Very cool. Jeff?
Oh, I'm Jeff Vichandoff, and she said some things already, so.
A long-term member of the Fairfield Cultural Alliance and our history guy. And web guy too for a long time. Ian?
Tommy Brower. I've lived in Fairfield since 1987. Love it here. I've got 2 small daughters. I've spent probably the last 30 years running so fast, raising kids, building career. I haven't had time to really stop and be involved in things, spread my wings, culturally or otherwise. But I'm in a position now where I do have the time and the energy to do that, and I have, I have 4 grown kids, but I have 2 little girls that I'm trying to, kind of raise and, instill with a sense of community involvement, and not being afraid to jump in with both feet and learn new things, meet new people, and try and get things done in the community. I'm a task-driven kind of guy, so while I'm not like necessarily, I don't have necessarily a history of being artsy. I look at something, I like it. If I don't, whatever. That's the depth I'm trying to build for myself, and I'm happy to help out any way I can, with whatever skills, and maybe learn some new ones.
I really have to say that being on a board for almost any organization it's more about organization and people skills.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm on the fact board with Lou and Meredith as well.
Oh, very good, very good, yeah.
I have been involved in that.
I was involved with that for 10 years, so.
So much fun.
A lot of fun. Fantastic, nice to meet you, Tommy.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
My name is Bert Chanowski, and I'm the president of the Fairfield First Fund. We're a local nonprofit that provides some charitable work for different organizations in the city. And Bill was right. The original idea of the Fairfield Cultural Alliance came out of the Fairfield Strategic Plan, which I helped write. And this particular part of it I helped create. And our original intent was for the Fairfield Cultural Alliance was to have stakeholders from different organizations have a seat at the table, meet quarterly, and if they couldn't make it, their deputy could make it. And I will tell you, the very first meeting we ever had, thousands of dollars started changing hands just because the collaboration that was there. And I'd like to suggest that we identify some of those organizations that might be stakeholders for this organization,
Okay.
but also want to hear from everyone to where they could use some support, or they have resources that can throw to the table, and that includes the First Fridays Art Walk, because that is really thin. A couple of ideas that I have in terms of thank you. A couple of ideas that I have for recruiting people is there's a leadership Fairfield program. Those people are looking for something to do. And surprisingly, another group of middle schoolers, the leader and me, they're all looking for projects to work on, and I support.
Yeah, about right there.
I'm Paul Weiner, just another Fairfield resident who loves the arts, loves Denise and the team for all they've done. And I actually wanted to come. I was so excited to make sure we supported Denise and anybody who came, but I'm afraid too many people came, so each person might not be able to get a daisy. So I'll break them up, so stick around. And then afterwards, I brought a few snacks. But let's make this happen. And I'm right at that border. I'm not sure whether I'm considered old or young. I just turned 60.
No, you're young.
So I'm young? And I don't care whether the art is physical or real. Whatever a new team wants to do is the right thing. You know, the 60 in me isn't here to say, okay, young people, if you're going to join, here's what you need to do. And the 59 that was a few weeks ago in me says, let's do anything. So keep up the heart that you've put into this, and I'm sure it's going to happen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amin Quider. I'm the department chair of the Cinematic Arts and New Media department at MIU. And I got the email from Denise, and I thought this is one of the most important things happening in Fairfield, you know, the arts and all of this. And I helped out a little bit with the International Festival, and that was such a really special experience. And as a department, the university, I feel like we should be closer to town and collaborating more. We have students, we have our largest programs are online, but if there's things where students can come and experience Fairfield and all of that, we did collaboration with the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center in June, and it was phenomenal. And some people actually moved to town from that collaboration and all of that. So, yeah, so we just want to see the arts continue to flourish in Fairfield, and anything that we can do to help from the university's part, or at least my departments, I can speak on behalf of that. I'm happy to do that.
Someone from, like you or someone else, would be important to be a member of our group for sure.
I invited a bunch of people, but they couldn't make it.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I invited a few.
We should get
Well, you've got 3 people here.
Hey,
Yeah,
this
well,
is,
that's
this
good.
is a start.
Yeah. Mention more people.
Hi, I'm Shanaz Kreider. I've been with Fairfield Cultural Alliance for how many years? About 16 years now, 15 years. Since I moved to this town, they said there is a cultural alliance here. And being from a different country originally, I thought, great, I want to be part of it. And I'm glad that I have been so far, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep it going. During the last 16 years, we've done a lot of innovative events, you know. I- we didn't have grants before. Now we started giving grants. We had that international event for quite a few years until COVID ruined it for us. And I think the city and the community benefits from this. And even though there are only a few of us in the Cultural Alliance right now, we're doing all the work, but we want all of you to join so we don't have to work so hard. Yeah, we fundraise, we publish, we give grants, we do all of that. So, and there is a lot of talents in here, and you people should contribute a little bit, okay? Thanks. I'm not bossy, I just talk that way.
Hey, it's a culture, you know, different cultures.
The bossy is good. Looks good on you. I'm Terry Baker. I am the director of Visit Fairfield, which is the tourism organization here in town. And we are the marketing organization for the city and for what goes on in the city. And I'm super excited to see so many people here and also hear the vision of how this organization started and moving forward, because the whole establishment of the cultural and entertainment district in the community was really essential and foundational to community development and tourism. This is the element that makes our town very unique and makes people want to come to our town, whether they're coming just for a day, 2 days, whatever, or they want to move here. And it's become a really essential ingredient in the marketing things that we do. So I'm excited to see that and see where we can be more of assistance with what your organization is doing or how we can collaborate better. One of the things, just to let you know, some of the things that we have coming up that could really be of assistance is we did a facilitated session earlier in November, and one of the big things that came up was people don't know what's going on in town, which is truly astonishing to me when there's so many people having websites and putting newsletters out and whatever. But we are actually working with a company to do a community calendar that will be extremely dynamic and will allow people to sort events and also create articles and do some cool things. So if people just want to sort where are the art events, where are the galleries, where are the kids events, that sort of thing, you'll be able to do that. And it'll be a very dynamic website that will allow any organization, for example, convention center, will be able to install their own events on there. It won't need somebody like me putting them all on. Thank God. Yeah, no, it'll be, people would sign up for accounts to actually submit the events and get them situated on the site, which will be very exciting. And we've also been in the process of creating a cultural marketing plan and how we best express what happens here in the community. One of the things we've been doing is interviewing some artists and doing video and that sort of thing and trying to get some things out there. But I think that's something that we could really use that collaborative assistance from people in this room to make that happen and get people like knowing what's going on here. So.
Sorry, would you repeat, what's the organization that you're
It's called Visit Fairfield, Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay, oh, so it's a group, part of the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
No, it almost is.
Okay. It is the Convention.
Yes, so the name convention gets people think that we're the convention center, but we're not the convention center. We're separate organizations, which is why we rebranded into Visit Fairfield.
Okay.
But what we do is market Fairfield outside of Fairfield.
So that Visit Fairfield, Iowa site that's been there, is that right?
Yeah.
It's been there for years.com, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful, thank you.
If it's the one I'm thinking
It's gonna be refreshed tomorrow, actually, it'll be more wonderful. So, yeah.
This is part of the talent that's in this room.
So I am Tim Britton. I've been living here for 39 years, and I have a lot of hats, all having to do with music. I'm a performer myself, as some other people who didn't mention their specific personal talents. But I also have a studio in my house that I record musicians, some local, some not so local. I also run sound, typically at Cafe Paradiso, both for a weekly open mic every Wednesday night, which I encourage you to check out if you haven't ever done it. It's really interesting because it really is an open mic. So anybody who has anything to share for whatever reasons they want to are welcome.
What is that, Tim?
Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. till 10, 8 to 10 at Paradiso. And
Are you still doing it virtually as well?
we are not. We're doing it in person. And I just want to give an extra boost to that for a moment, because the thing that's so cool about it is that it is open, and that normally you don't get to see people share what they have to share unless they're, quote, good enough. And that's a very interesting dynamic that is really foreign from basic elements of real community. Especially traditionally. We're used to deferring and living vicariously through people who are good enough to show up on our screens, let alone in our concert halls, which are becoming an anachronism in themselves. It's not always, it can be a little hard to take sometimes, who shows up. And we've just actually, this is sort of an aside, but we've realized that we can't be completely open. To be blunt, the open mic has become a magnet for people who are mentally marginal. And not only that, obviously, but it's become a thing over the years. Someone will show up, and it's the only place where they get to be seen, maybe in their entire lives. There's one person who we're having to kind of draw the line on because they're not really able to handle themselves in public appropriately. But we just decided this last night to kind of put the line down, but it's just tricky to do. But they literally, on the stage, shared that they had no friends, and they haven't had friends in their lives, in their whole life for the most part. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but you can imagine. So to be able to the extent that we have made her welcome, I think is extremely valuable, and that people show up audience-wise and not only put up with people like that, but encourage them, is quite something. So that's an extreme, but there's everything from that to people who are very high-level professionals. We've had people drive in from St. Louis regularly to play the open mic there, and that's all they come up for. Also, Joni Mitchell's first husband, Chuck Mitchell, used to drive up almost every week from Keokuk, which is an hour away, to play there. So but I just want to say that and I know that Bill has, there's lots of examples of inclusiveness in the arts community, and I want to encourage more of that. But as well as the other end of it, where people have something really evolved and refined to share, and have places where that can happen as well, and that it can be supported. I'm involved. Yes, I'm just getting to that. So Fairfield Muse is a 501c3 nonprofit that we created about 5 years ago, I think, that started out and is sort of continuing at this point to support the music that happens at Paradiso, which, aside from the open mic, it's historically has been once a week, roughly, nationally touring acts, and basically it doesn't pay for itself. You know, you've got a venue, even getting people to show up and fill that venue, being as small as it is, let alone the larger venues in town, you know, is a good trick, as many of us know. So the dream was to get it supported financially outside of ticket sales, so that everybody could get paid who works so hard, and including the musicians who often walk away with barely lunch money sometimes. So anyway, that's I think that's me. Well, the other thing that I want to expand with Fairfield Muse, if we had the budget for it, was to support local musicians, not only as a venue, but in their recording projects, which is a big deal for me being a recording engineer. I am always running into people who are extremely talented and do not have the budget to do a proper recording. So this is something we haven't had any money to put into, but we'd love to be able to offer matching funds so that people are motivated to, from their side, to come up with something, but that we can match that. Because recordings typically can easily exceed $1,000 per song, which generally is, you know, $10,000 to $20,000 easily for a recording. So that's just one person's little album, as deserving as it may be. So it doesn't have to cost that much, but it usually does, or more. So anyway, I think I'm in with that. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, just as a general question that came up for me that I just want to throw out there. I know that I'm very busy. I think most people are really busy, and we're looking at how to fulfill the needs of this, you know, thing we're talking about tonight. And I'm wondering, well, two things come to mind. One is that we need people who are visionaries and organizers, but are able to delegate. So it doesn't have to, all this stuff doesn't have to land on one person's shoulders. And maybe that, anyway, so this is just what goes through my mind when I'm thinking, how do we, you know, replace Denise? And maybe Denise gets replaced by 2 or 3 or 6 people. Or it doesn't need to be, as long as Denise or the person who replaces her is able to delegate effectively to the group of people who do show up to do all the little tasks. So just kind of voicing that, because I'm thinking, no way in hell can I, you know, do any more than I'm already doing. But maybe somehow, you know, there's some little piece I can bite off. Anyway, I'm in with that.
Well, I agree. And I've learned how to delegate a lot, but we ran out of people.
Yeah.
Is what it amounted to, and here we are, like 4 of us, and are active. So that's why we need to get excited again and pull more people in. And I would like somebody else to take the lead rein, but I wouldn't have to be completely out of it. You know, I could do projects. I mean, I could do these heritage books, you know, once every 2 years or something. It's fine. But you're right, delegation is a huge deal, and I appreciate that that plan of action.
I'm Marla Brader, and I run Fairfield First Fridays, and I'm on the board for Fairfield Collab and the board of the Cultural Alliance. I moved here 24 years ago from the sunny, warm South. I'm originally from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and my husband was stationed in North Carolina at Camp Lejeune. So we raised 2 kids here. I always tell people that Fairfield loved me when I wasn't very lovable when I first moved here, because I was a little bitter about moving where it was cold. I'd never seen snow.
Let alone 40 below.
Well, in the first winter we were here, it was everybody, this is the worst winter we've had in 20 years. They say that every year. But, you know, I raised my kids in the community, my kids, the culture and the art. When they went off to college, when they were having conversations with their peers in college, it was amazing how many small town kids did not have the same experiences that they did. So for me, all of these organizations are really important because, you know, I mean, we raise them to be good community members, we raise them to volunteer, and then we send them off into the world and they go somewhere else. I want them to come back. I want them to come back to start their families and raise their kids. And so I think a meeting of the minds with all of the people that are involved in all of these things is really important.
I'm Bruno Elmkor. I'm a concert pianist, photographer, videographer, graphic designer, and a couple of more things that I forget. And I just want to tell you that I have a new TV studio with 3 cameras and professional instant editing. If you have a message you want to get out, let me know, and we'll set up an interview. Okay?
Great resource, thanks.
I'm Meredith Simpson, and I'm on the board of the Fairfield Area Community Theater with Lou and Tommy here. And I also run a third Thursday reading series called The Thirsty Word, currently being hosted at the Fairfield Food Collective. And as a 2-year recipient of the cultural mini grant from the FCA, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the funds, because it makes it possible. My little series, it wouldn't be possible without that. So that's really cool. I'm also on the Fairfield Beautification Commission, and I'm spread kind of thin as it is, and I'm just trying to figure out, is there a piece of me I have left to give to yet another organizational effort? Do I need to let something else go? I'm not really sure where I am, but I wanted to be here in this room and just kind of support in some way, and I don't know what that looks like yet. Right now it's me seeing y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been around a while. I'm Lou Bolster. Let's see. I'm an artist at heart in everything I do, pretty much. I finally came to realize that, embrace that now. Predominantly in the acting arenas. I've been involved in the local theater scene since I got here in '82. Helped found one theater company, and have been involved in a number of things since, and have been on the FACT board since FACT reinitiated itself back in whenever it was. FACT, by the way, has been a functioning theater company since '78, so it goes way back. For those that don't know, at one point we had upwards of 5 producing theater companies here in town, consistently producing. Fairfield's got a deep history in theater and the theater arts, including the current Hawthorne, what's known as the Hawthorne Building. It's got its roots in theater as well. That building does. So, yep.
But that was Sid Spade, too.
Yeah, and then there was Sid Spade with Parsons, and anyway, we could do a whole thing on theater history. So that's kind of my primary focus as an actor, as in live theater, and I'm also involved with film projects, both locally and some larger projects. And, also on the Beautification Commission, and I'm here largely to see what's going on and kind of look at this idea of collaboration between groups. Kind of a little snapshot picture of that is because of Meredith's work in doing the Thirsty Word, she did a thing last fall where she had some writers create some little radio shows, radio shorts that we did initially, and I was fortunate to be one of the actors reading these pieces at Halloween last year. And then based on that experience, took it forward and did a few pieces for the holiday season last year. And listening to the radio plays afterwards, they sounded good. Just listening to the audio, they sounded good. We had live sound effects as well as the reading of the written word. So going back to the fact board, we were having discussions because of COVID of trying to figure out how do we get our feet under us again, because we had been fallow for a few years, and we didn't feel confident that we could get a strong enough audience over 5 or 6 shows to pay for a full size production, meaning that you're going to pay $3,000 or more just for the royalties of that show plus the production costs. We didn't know whether we could cover that. So we thought, well, how do we do something that doesn't cost us a whole lot? So I talked to Meredith and the writers group and said, what about doing a full-size production, meaning writing not a play, but writing a full-size radio show or variety show, a la Prairie Home Companion type of thing. And then I went to the fact board and I said, okay, fact, you could produce it, because the writers didn't want to produce it. Meredith said, no, she's got her hands full with Thirsty Word, doesn't want to produce it. And I said, no, we get fact to produce it. So in the end, we got this collaboration happening with a group of writers writing this whole thing out, and then Fact is producing the whole thing. We're actually going to put this thing up in March of this year. So you have that to look forward to. But that's been a neat collaboration of a couple of different talent pools here in the community. We've got incredible writers in the community, writing in all kinds of different genres. And then we've got an amazing acting group and the facilities to put that on. And we've got the convention center, which is, as an actor, is just an incredible facility that we have that to work in. So I really have enjoyed the process of that collaboration and seeing that work, and I look forward to being involved in more of that. I, like many of us, well, going back to Fact, we also went through a real atrophy, of people aging out, but nobody coming in. And so we did a really major push this last year, and we did flush out our board members through a lot of communication and connections. So we know what that is, and we know what it is to get your feet back under you especially after COVID, and trying to get that, break free of that inertia of the sweatpants, and move beyond that and off of the screen and back into reality. It's a hard inertia to overcome. So we're still struggling with that, still working on creating that for ourselves as well. And I, like many, I don't know what type of bandwidth I have to specifically sign on the dotted line in terms of a board or in terms of things that I can do outright, but I definitely would say I want to be more involved. I want to be more aware of what's going on and how it's functioning, so that when I see opportunities that I can connect some dots, that I can do that in whatever way that's possible. The community has long been, way before the 80s, has been a hotbed of innovation, whether it's going back to the theater roots, or whether it's manufacturing innovation or artistic innovation. There's something baked in here, and it goes through waves, like everything does. But it's here, and it's here to stay, and we just gotta kind of just keep the focus, and it'll come, it'll happen. So that's it. That's me.
Hi, I'm Karen Cuider, so married to Amin, and I'm at the university, so I'm really in that bubble mostly. But I know that I grew up in the performing arts world. That's why I came to the United States. This is my mom. And so I always felt like the perfect community is yoga, meditation, and performing arts. And so MIU right now I feel like is... our students, especially, like, we have an online program that's growing, but on campus, the real attraction would be a vibrant Fairfield. And so it's really essential if we're going to attract students here and have them stay. And at our age, 40, they're actually looking where could we start a family potentially. It all has to do with the arts and culture scene. And we really need representation as well. So I just want to make sure that we have more diversity. And that will be really essential to making sure our international students feel safe and welcome. So, yeah, I always think of arts and culture as really an important force for attracting not just youth, but just creating safety. Yeah.
I just have a question about time.
Yeah.
You know, we as a community could use the energy and ideas and talents of
Yeah.
students and people. Do they have time to?
Well, it has to benefit them. So students, you really have to sell them on how it's going to fulfill their vision. So Amin's really visionary with all these opportunities. So internships is your key. So if you can earn credit, and that is part of, yeah. Oh, hi. That's your ticket. You want to make sure that it's not volunteer, that it gets worked into their credit hours, right? I mean, it has to really.
Yeah, we just had a student work for the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center, and now he's working with the Fairfield. Did a 1 month internship and is now working. Nice. So.
Wow. And then Amin single-handedly attracts a lot of people. He's like, that's his dharma thing, community leader. So he's in his department, through his department alone, he's attracted a lot of young leaders, and they're still kind of checking it out. I feel like, is there something happening or not? And I think something like the Armory, is that what's being developed? Something like that, where they could start plugging in, and they have so much ambition and creativity. I can think of 4 of our closest friends. They're ready to go.
There's
But
so many filmmakers.
yeah,
too.
filmmakers.
This
Yeah.
town is filled with filmmakers, and something should happen around.
Connect with the actors and the writers.
Let's make movies.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
entrance to having your film seen is so much easier now. So much more available than it has been in the time.
We met somebody on the street who was looking for the movie theater.
Yes.
And
not-
they
yeah,
said,
just
"Oh,
right.
at the Fairfield Convention Center." And so yeah, we were able to direct them. So yeah,
Yeah.
and Amin knew that there was film night tonight. So anyway, I'm Kay, and I'm Karen's mother, though you would hardly be able to tell, but it's true, biological mother. And I came. I grew up in the Midwest, but I was for over 40 years in international schools in various places. And but Karen came here, 15 years ago or so?
Way longer than that.
Longer than that, a long time ago. And this became her community. So I came here because of her. And I work at the Marshy School. And I got involved with the Fairfield Cultural Alliance because we decided, when I was really struck by the diversity of the school, the kids that go to the school. And we were having this little, internet. The UN has their Day of Peace, and we had a little assembly with little flags and stuff. And Richard Bell and I said, well, we ought to do this on a festival level. Why doesn't this town already have an international festival? And so we did. That was an attempt to bridge the various worlds, the university world and the school. What?
Town and gown.
Town and gown, yeah, and try to get that to happen. And the town was mostly represented by the Swedish Museum. And there was a lot of people that we recruited from the university that we knew, and we made all the kids at school do booths and stuff. But it was really fun, and we wouldn't have done it we needed an organization behind us. And Terry was involved in helping that, and early on, and other people too. We were able to get some traction right at the beginning. Yeah. And but we just needed big money. We didn't have any big money, so we finally wrote that grant, and got an infusion, $10,000, I think, didn't we? $10,000, and that because of that we could do it, and so
It was a matching grant too, so it inspired us to go out and get
yes,
grants,
yeah,
and we could. We just went to Cambridge and we just like you did, you fundraised.
yes. So anyway, anything is possible.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, but I'm old now, so here you go.
Can you tell?
I'm one of the old
people.
I'm pretty old too. It's okay. I just turned 52, so I think I'll fall into the elder crowd. No, I'm kidding. I'm not 52. It's just a running joke. My name is Montserrat Iniguez, and I too come from a INIGUEZ. I too come from a warmer climate originally from Southern California, Los Angeles. And I moved to Fairfield in 2011, and I have now been here since then. And I originally came on a 5-year plan, and that turned into my life is now here. And the reason I stayed is because my first summer in Fairfield, I experienced Fairfest, or whatever it was called. And I was just like going around every corner. There was another musician doing their thing. There was another arts thing happening. And I was like, why do I want to go back to Inglewood? So I stayed. And I love Fairfield. And then I lived in Des Moines for 7 years. And I hate Des Moines. And I moved back to Fairfield. And I was like, because I want to reconnect to that cultural arts. So I started Soapbox Speakeasy here in Fairfield in 2013 as an alternative to the open mic. Because as a poet, as a spoken word artist, I really wanted to push myself to get better and to really have reasons to perform other than just being a depressed little angsty writer. I wanted to be like, no, I want to get on the stage and I want to push it and I want to push my creativity and I want to do it with other people. And so then I just started this workshop series with folks. So we would have workshops for 4 weeks. And at the end of those 4 weeks, we were performing at Cafe P. And after 2 years of doing that, we realized we were absolutely insane to try to churn out that amount of original material every month on a different theme, style, and genre of writing. And we were kind of unfortunately burning ourselves out creatively. So then we went on hiatus, which was supposed to be like a year, and it turned into 7. And we came back earlier this year. After I moved back to Fairfield, I was like, let's do it. And then I get a text from someone randomly being like, I heard Soapbox Speakeasy was back. And I was like, is it? And they told me when the workshops were. And then I was like, I guess it's back. So then we came back. And we had our first show in 7 years in June. And we decided to be a little bit more realistic. And so we turned them into 8 to 10 week workshop series where we meet as a group once a week, and then we meet individually one-on-one where we really develop the material and then really direct the performance so that we are helping writers deliver their work in a way that really brings it to life rather than just speed reading from a page when they get on stage and getting scared, because I used to do that. I'd be like, oh my God, nobody wants to hear my poetry. Let me just do this really quick. It's like, no, put a lot of time into this. Suffer through it with me. So we have a lot of fun doing that. And my background professionally is in community organizing, civil rights law enforcement, and activism. So a lot of my experience is community building and talking to folks and outreach to folks and educating folks and meeting folks where they are at and bringing them into something, getting them invested into a cause, into an experience, and transforming them through that to be a lot more active and developing their voice, which is really the pillars of Soapbox. It is community developing its voice to speak for itself. So I'm here because I'm invested in the community voice of Fairfield, but also in the cultural arts, because I know how transformative it can be. And I also know how important it is for me. Like, I don't want to go out on an art walk and it is dead because nobody is out because there's nothing going on. That's depressing to me. I love going out and being like, oh, there's something going on over here, something going on over there. Oh my God, I have a show tonight. I can't go do that. Dang it, I'm going to have to schedule my show on a different night so I can go see that thing. So I love having that struggle as an artist. Although sometimes I'm like, oh, there's a built-in audience going to Cafe P. Oh no, I wanted to go see that other thing. So yeah, now it's a lot more. I try to schedule a lot with what's going on already in town so that I'm not competing for an audience. But I don't know what's going on in town. So that calendar sounds really cool. Like, I'm excited to be like, what is happening tonight? So yeah, that is me. That's what I do. And I do have time. I say that I don't have time because I don't have time, but I do have time for things I care about. So.
Denise is like over here, like evil, running together. Like, can't wait to get her hands.
A couple of people, I'm going.
My name is Lindsay Bauer. I'm the director of the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center. I moved here in the summer of 2020 to take that position.
Good timing.
It was.
Most chaotic timing ever.
My background is in as an actor and an acting coach, and in nonprofit strategic plan coaching. And so Fairfield is a really awesome community for me to be in. The organization that we run, and I'll let Solomon talk more about the film program, which is new in film festivals and all that we have planned there, which is great because there's so much that ties in with the conversation that happened before Saul got here because he was running a film over at the center. But we are a little bit different than a lot of y'all's organizations in that we are not a producing organization. We are a presenting organization. I buy the work and show it to you versus building the work myself, which I also believe that there's a lot of value in curating things that I believe need to be shown here, need to be seen by these people at this time in this place. And also in just the power of joy, and I talk about that a lot, that it is really important for a community to make a difference and to make a positive difference. We need joyful people to live in it. And one of the best ways to do that is to bring them together and to share stories, which is at heart what we're all doing in this room. And I think that that's really powerful. So I am here because I was having a conversation with Rachel Hillier where I said, I just want to get everybody in the same room. And she said, oh my God, you have to talk to Bert because that's already happening. And so that's why I'm here, because my work really depends on making sure that it's connected to the community that is already happening around me. And I cannot do that if I'm not connected to the community. But there are a lot of you. So thank you for gathering. Makes it a lot easier. Yeah, I'm willing. I don't have any time, but I'm willing to do whatever you want. And here's Solomon.
Yeah, Solomon.
Hi there, I'm Solomon. I'm the assistant to Lindsay over there at the center, but my primary role is Davis. My primary role, like Lindsay said, is to get the cinema up and going. And yeah, so when I moved here just 8 months ago, I was hearing a lot of acronyms and trying to keep track of what all these acronyms for all these orgs were. And so I started creating a database, and then I came across an acronym FCA, and they had a database. And so that was really exciting. And so I reached out to Denise about joining the next meeting, and here we are. So happy to be here.
Can I say just a couple quick things here again? There's my little notes. I just want to underscore a couple things that are sort of overarching. One is this idea of attracting, that culture is attractive to people from elsewhere, but also enlivening to ourselves. You know, Lindsay, you're underscoring the idea of joyful people. We have to have a reason to want to be alive, and sometimes that's challenging, or maybe always challenging. So I think that's our job, as I think probably all know. And in that light, another little adjunct of that is just how much I appreciate the absolutely kick-ass people who are in this room tonight. There's some people I don't know so well, but so many that I do, and I'm just like blown away and inspired by their very existence, let alone what they're doing. And very thankful for that. I think I probably speak for all of us, just feeling so inspired to be here tonight. And thank you, Denise and Bert, for bringing us here to remind each ourselves of each other's gifts. The other thing I wanted to, the attraction thing, I just wanted to we've had a number of people who've come to perform at the cafe who are like pretty famous, like the Roach sisters, or, like Suzy Roach and her daughter actually talked to a real estate agent after they played here about moving here. Like they were that serious about it. That hasn't happened yet, but it still could happen. So that kind of thing, is real. And people have to have a reason to want to be here other than, whatever other reason they might have. And I think the arts are, really a big part of how that works.
The weather isn't enough?
Yeah, exactly. It's just not quite there. At least it's changeable. It doesn't stay any one way for very long. You got that going for it. The only other thing the only other thing I wanted to mention was this idea of how artists, being an artist myself, and I know some of you may not think of yourselves as artists, you're more organizers, which is what we need, because us artists often struggle with being able to deal with the money end of it and the organizational end of it. And so I just wanted to sort of underscore that as well, that can be a big theme. I know it's a big theme for, it's our big challenge is to raise enough money to make what we're trying to do work. And I haven't heard quite as much about that tonight as I think maybe obviously it's a big thing for all of us, but anyway, I'm in with that.
To that end, Tim and I had a discussion, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago already or something. I too I'm primarily an artist. I have business as a contractor on the side, and even that is an avenue for art, the way I look at it and the way I approach it. But the idea, the artist in me has unfortunately bought into the struggling artist thing, that trope, that model. And I think that part of what the Alliance can certainly do and strives to do, and I think really we as an organization and as a community, even broader than just this organization, is to figure out a way to not only support those artists and say, yeah, go do your thing, but to go beyond that and say, not only do we want you to do your thing, but we want you to be successful financially doing your thing, and figure out how to do that and how to reach out to them in a way that will make it work, whether it's through grants or fundraisings, or all of it. It's not about just gifting the artists. That's not what I'm talking about, but rewarding them in a way and helping them in a way, helping them organize their business sense in a way so that they can be the success that they deserve, right?
Help them delegate that.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, is to sit down with them and help them wrap their head around it and say, well, if you can't do that, I know somebody who can, or this organization can help you develop that part of it, or you need a web page that would really help your thing. Go look over to this organization, talk to these people, that kind of a thing. That would really help, I think, artists an awful lot.
That's
yeah.
another thing that Fairfield News aspires to do. It's on our mission statement, but we haven't been able to implement that yet. But I think that's absolutely central.
Yeah.
See, this is another thing. In talking about what we have already done, I just wanted to do that for people who really didn't know what we did. But I wanted to, at this point now, I wanted to emphasize that we don't have to stay in the projects that we have built over these years. You can make new projects. That's a fine one. That's certainly supporting the arts is spreading, connections and education about areas that that artists don't normally get. And we in this town have a lot of very smart business people who could share what it takes to. They may not know, how to do a show or anything like that, but they know, you have to have, money coming in. You have to not spend more than you make. But they could help with that sort of thing. And that's a whole nother beautiful direction that could happen with this organization if somebody wants to get in there and be inspired and do it. So, yes.
A lot of the organizations, I mean, I'm involved in a couple of different ones. Getting new board members, recruiting new board members so that you have new ideas and you have new people is super important, and that's really, really hard to do. I mean, Art Walk and CoLab both need to expand their boards because you need the new ideas. You need the younger people. You need the, hey, I know this person, or hey, have we tried this? Or, oh, I was so-and-so and I heard this band this weekend. I mean, when your board gets stagnant, I mean, and I have wonderful people on both of those boards. I can't say anything negative about any of them. But when you start adding that new, that's when your events get better and your musician lineup gets better and your fundraising improves and your volunteer pool enlarges. So just FYI, if anybody's interested in any other boards.
I just wanted to make a suggestion. I think it looks to me like there's lots of interest, there's lots of feeling of need, right? There's some need on some level. We may not be able to put our finger on it exactly what it is at this moment, but there's this liveliness about we have to keep our arts and culture lively. We have to present everything. We have to have a platform where this can grow, where it can be seen by people. And I'm wondering if we go back to the original vision that you were talking about, and what if there was, maybe it's from this group, maybe there's other people, but what if we go back to this idea of this is an alliance? And you sit everyone around the room that's maybe here, maybe it's not formed yet, but we just sit around a table and we go, what could this be? And I know Lindsay's great at facilitating things. I do some facilitation, but we could bring somebody else in, but have it facilitated in a way that we can start pinpointing exactly what's the dream? What could this be? And then start putting the plan and the structure into place. That's what's going to give you new energy, new excitement, and make people feel that they're engaged in growing something that actually is going to be very useful to the community. Because let's face it, COVID changed everybody. It changed every business, it changed every artist, it changed every organization. Everyone's reinventing themselves. And this is such a beautiful time for this organization to do the same thing. Not discrediting anything that's been done, but now, how can we be better? How can we be more effective? How can we be more exciting? And how can we bring that joy back?
Amen to that.
That was awesome.
That's almost exactly what I was about to say, that it's strategic planning time, you guys. It's my favorite thing. Literally my favorite thing. I really love strategic planning. So I'm so excited that we're talking about strategic planning. It's the best. Oh yes, we all get to do it. But the other thing is, and it loops back a little bit to some of the things that Tim and Lou were talking about. Is Fairfield Arts and Convention Center is willing to serve as a pass-through organization for individual artists or for organizations that don't have their 501c3. If they are interested in some grants, we can work with them so that we are their umbrella.
That's really
We've done it too.
Yeah. So if that's a need that you have connections to, connect them to us because we want to help that out.
No, I just wanted to say, just sitting around the table and listening to everybody talk about, what they do, what they've done, what their ideas are. My brain is exploding in like this Venn diagram of all these overlapping circles, which I think is what the point is, right? So I'm just wondering, will you send out like an email or something with everybody's contact information? Because I could literally pick out half a dozen at least people and spend an hour just talking to those people, sharing ideas and stuff. So
What if we did something like we had a strategic planning session, but
Yes.
we also did a quarterly or a monthly, like, let's just
Yes.
drink beer and talk about what's working and what's not working, and just
The first part, anyway.
or coffee or tea or whatever your thing is. But
We kind of have a
whatever gets you
place we can do it. No,
talking.
anyway.
This is a Cambridge
We have a bar in the alley. We can just have them.
Well, yeah, we can do it here too. Shanaz wants to say something.
I don't think I need mic. Can you all hear me?
Okay. Okay, take it away. Speak up.
Well, I've had 2-3 very positive experience in this community in last few months. Cultural Alliance and Fairfield Volunteer Center, we did a project. We made some signs for the parks, and we needed money. So, we didn't have the money. So I said, I'll go ask people to give me the money. It took me only 1 week, and we raised all the money that we needed and more, because it didn't cost as much as we thought, right? So we made all the signs, and they're all in the park. Then we decided, okay, COVID is over, let's print this publication again. So what do we have to do? We have to raise money to print it. So I went back to people in town, different organizations. It took me only a few days, and they all gave me ads, and they were glad to. Of course, we tell them what it is. It honestly took me 3 days to make the calls and go see people, and we raised all the money to print that booklet.
Your open carry helps.
Yeah, well, so I'm not saying that, and I also have been working with Habitat for Humanity, and I manage the Restore, the big store in town, and we raised great amount of money just recently to renovate a house that we bought back from one of our previous owners. So the community is very supportive. It's just we need to be creative in asking, presenting, and they have to see a benefit in what we give them. I mean, yes, they come to see a nice show, play. They benefit from it. They laugh. I went to Sondheim Center, and there was a very nice program, and everybody was just excited. The place was packed, and I thought, holy cow, they finally packed this place. So people have to see benefit in it. So if we come up with a strategy to present our organization and say, okay, this is what we do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is what you're going to get out of it, then there's no doubt that there will be support for it. There are a lot of people in town that are dying to help to improve the city. People are proud of living in this little community. And if you read publications, you know that I'm working with an artist, and we're going to do the mural on 2nd Street. I haven't even fundraised for it. I've had 2 calls. People said, when you get all the legal approval out of the way, give us a call, we want to contribute. So people are they want to support. So let's get together and come up with ideas and give them what they want, and they will give us what we want.
You're here. I love it. This is fabulous. You want to say one more thing?
Yeah. So my intro was really short because I normally talk a lot, and once I get started, I don't stop. So I gave a pretty short one, and I just wanted to sort of interject with the younger perspective. I've been at called out a couple of times in this room tonight. And I'm 26. I'm 26. I graduated from Fairfield High School in 2015. And during the 5 years that I moved away was actually between the ages of 10 and 15. And while I lived in Northern Virginia outside of DC, I went to high school with 1,600 kids. Fairfield High School's classes or class size, graduating classes are 100. So you can imagine I felt like a fish out of water. And so when my mom told me that we could finally decide whether we wanted to stay in Virginia or move back to Fairfield, I said, "Can we go home, please?" So Fairfield has been a magnet for me as long as I can remember. And it's been a huge part of my life. I volunteered all 4 years of Fairfest. I was very close with all of the directors who put on that show. So yes, it was quite as magical. I became a hippie in the last year and wore no shoes for 3 days. And it was great. I was in high school when I did that. And the convention center, although I don't work there anymore and work for MIU, has a large part of my heart and soul because it is magic to be told every day how wonderful Fairfield is from both people who live here and people who have never been here before. I've gotten compliments from people from Cedar Rapids who tell us that our Christmas lights are unlike anything they've ever seen. So, yeah, it is magical, and all you have to do is give it a little bit of gas because people my own age who are still here, who haven't left to go to college necessarily, but are still here, we have a joke that we say, "Oh, I'm going to move to Asheville," or "I'm going to move to blah, blah, blah." They always come back. You know, they do. So, yeah, exactly. And so,
People my age have that joke.
yeah. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that and also say that although I'm not as creative, if you need somebody who's creative, go talk to my fiance, Matthew Johnson. He is great, but I'm the organized one, which is single-handedly why our wedding is still happening. And so you should see the size of the planner in my purse. So if you need something organized or you need a spreadsheet done, I'm your girl for that. So.
Second your nomination. How many people here?
Hey, I
think
was
of-
going to say that. No. I'm
You
so-
were?
No, I'm just. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead and say it then.
No.
At the same time.
I'm kidding with you, Bert.
Oh, okay. How many can think of somebody that you know who's not here? Should we invite to the next meeting? Who couldn't make it, didn't know about it, didn't really have the connection? Can anybody think of, everybody think of one person?
Can think of 10.
You can think of 10. Yeah. I mean, this has been so satisfying. And it is just like so incredible. I didn't know about what you did. I want to come to your programs. And I haven't been to one of your things. And I know Lou. I know it. And now with the kind of COVID's over, not over, but I can get by. I want to do that. But let's think of our resources, of who isn't here, because we're really talking a lot about people resources, but think of other resources, whether it's venues or sources of income.
Back to the organization. What do we do next? Who's willing to come to another meeting?
I like hanging out with you people. This is
This is part of the reason that it happens, that things happen, because you meet people and you're inspired by people and you say, okay, we need to be more together more, because something can come out of this. So thank you. What's a good time? Is the evening better? Is it a lunchtime meeting? What?
Something about beer.
Beer.
And I agree with that. I think it should be social.
Social.
And we just, and not have to get up at a mic, and we can interact a lot more.
Can we stop at a mic?
You can.
Okay.
There's open mic every Wednesday.
Okay.
And you can make friends.
I expect you all to be there.
So I like to think I'm not an artist, but I'm sorry. Yes, the next meeting would be great if it were social, but the business guy in me says, who wants to help organize and structure the next meeting so we have some strategic planning and we come out of it not just happy, but also organized.
Organized.
we can also just kind of, I think it would be great to, I guess it's useful.
Well,
Yeah,
I can just
sure.
point it
Okay.
out.
For the camera. Okay. I think it'd be great to kind of socializing. Let's use let's find out where our strongest areas are, because that's where we're most willing to contribute our volunteer time. And then we can find out who is excited to strategic organize and develop that, you know, instead of kind of putting it to everyone and being like, oh, that's my weak area. Why would I be a part of that? You know, I think getting to know each other first, kind of finding where our strong areas are, and where we are weak, is there opportunity for folks who want to step that up? And then we can kind of go from there with more of a idea of who's going to be at the helm of these certain areas and these pockets that kind of naturally start to emerge.
CoLab would gladly volunteer space for the meetings. And if somebody will just let me know if we can come up with the time, the dates, we'll just block off the conference room. We don't have to use the conference room. There are other spaces we can use.
Right, and you know,
And
my place.
And we drink here all the time. It's
Yeah,
good.
okay, well, our place over here we can vary it if we want to.
Mine too.
Yeah, and yours.
And I think that's important to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Change scenery.
Okay.
Real quick, I would encourage people to write down the names of the people right now who they would like to bring next time, which is what I'm doing right now, and I will forget personally if I don't do it right now. So
I have a pen if anybody needs a pen.
throwing that out there. And I would also encourage you to specifically be thinking about younger people, which I'm just thinking about right now as well. You know, a lot of the organizers tend to be older, but I know, well, I could talk a while about this, but there's one person very dear to me who does not feel the way you do about Fairfield, because there's not enough happening here for them.
There isn't.
And but that could
Sorry.
change, and it could easily change. And in fact, I actually disagree. But that's how they feel, and that's the important thing. If they're walking away with that feeling, they're going to walk away. And you know, anyway, enough said.
There's two sides to Fairfield. You either get the great side where I am, or you don't get the great side. And once you're on one side or the other, it takes a lot of people to pull you out of it. And that's more specifically towards the other side. So
We need a diversity of options
Mhm.
because we have a diversity of people.
We do, we do, we do.
You know, all kinds.
I think one thing that really brings an entire community together is maybe quarterly festivals, maybe could be themed.
Mhm.
One is an international festival. We don't really have to reinvent the wheel, like bring back Fairfest in the summer, international festival in the fall, film festival in the spring.
We used to have it
something
like
theater
that. We used to have
and
things
spoken
going.
words in the winter, so that we're all cozy and getting together. And it's like just things like that where you can walk around like an art walk, basically, but bigger. Festivals, I feel like, bring everybody out, and it just kind of creates a certain momentum. It gets people to volunteer. It gets people excited about things. So
Okay, I'm gonna draw this down a little bit and pull it together so we can move forward when we walk out the door.
How about 3 weeks from today? Is that soon enough?
I'll be out of the country, but it's fine.
Yeah, we're never gonna.
We're never gonna get everybody in.
Before you all leave, do we do a group photo?
Yes,
Yeah.
but before we all leave, we need to decide a meeting.
Yeah,
That's
the
what we're
same
gonna
thing.
do right now.
I mean, I think
1, 2, 3 weeks from today
3 weeks
is,
from today is the 26th, otherwise if we go a month, it'd be February 2nd.
yeah, I'm still in town then. February 2nd or January 26th.
I'm good either day.
February, please.
February.
Are we
All right.
married to Thursdays?
No,
Yeah, Wednesday.
I do jujitsu Thursday nights. I'd like to not miss it.
Okay.
You can't do,
26 is
You can't do
fine with me.
I can't do Thursdays.
I coach
I can't do
fourth grade girls
Fridays.
basketball. So I would leave
I can't
early
do
tonight
Mondays.
to come
How about
here.
Tuesdays?
Tuesdays.
what about Tuesday night?
Tuesdays I also have jujitsu.
Lou and I, but.
What?
Let's just stick to
Pass 'em around.
Thursday. It's only
stick to
it's only
Thursdays.
one. It's only one. Day.
February 2nd,
We can rotate the day of the week sometime.
Tuesday night?
I'll be busy that night, but, you know.
And
think Saturday.
what time?
How about a Saturday morning?
Oh, Lord.
I always found people are available
my reaction.
Saturday mornings. You get coffee, you're relaxed, you don't have the pressure of a lot of evening stuff.
It's an interesting thought.
Feel free to have them on Saturdays. You will not see me here. So sorry.
All right.
Not with a full-time job that I have.
Take more than one, there's so many.
So, okay.
Same time.
Talk for the snacks.
The old people get the
for the
most.
daisies.
instead of the ones
Okay,
with the-
so
I'm good with either.
February 2nd, same time, half an hour earlier, would that work?
Second is.
I don't like Lindsay's face.
I will be here when you are here.
7 seems good.
What did you say about Thursday? You can't do Thursday?
I can do Thursdays. I mean, what, is February 2nd, that's on a Thursday? Okay, that would be my last basketball practice anyways.
Oh, okay.
So,
Is 6:30 or 7? Okay, better.
7 better.
7. 7 o'clock,
Feed my kids.
February 2nd.
Okay, 7 o'clock, February 2nd.
That's a Thursday, right?
Yep.
Back here?
One off.
Here?
Do you want me to book the conference room?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've got a concert that night.
Should I bring beer? I'm kidding.
Well, if, you know, you're
I think
Because,
BYOB.
a block
right?
away, you can like sneak
BYOB.
out. Okay.
So one of the thoughts that comes to my mind as we look at this next meeting is, and we've shared a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different artistic endeavors, is regarding this particular organization. To me, what might help propel it forward, talking about the Venn diagram type of idea and stuff like that, is to say, as we come into the next meeting, everybody jot down what their thoughts of that name, Fairfield Cultural Alliance. What does that ring for you? What does that mean to you? You know, not what it is. When you think of that name, what do you think that is?
That's your homework.
That's your homework.
What's the dream, or what does that
Well,
just connotate?
Just what it connotates, what you think that means to you. When you hear that, you know, you don't know anything about the organization, and you hear that title, what do you think it is? To jot down a few words about what that is and bring that to the next meeting, and then we can share those and see what that creates.